Hello. Oh my gosh, we're doing this. Hi, I'm Deborah, and this is my mom, Donna. We're looking
Hello.
at our script because we don't know what to say. We're autistic.
You think?
I was officially diagnosed with autism last year in June. Yeah, I think it was June of 2024. And then about 6 months later, I went for a second opinion in February of 2025. And she said, "Yep, you're still autistic." So then I was like, okay. And my mom does not have an official diagnosis of autism, but we know she doesn't really need one because if I have autism,
It's kind of obvious.
this is where I got it from. Promise you, this is where I got it from. So I really went through and got a professional diagnosis just so that I could solve some mysteries about my family and figure out what we have, and so I could know if my mom has autism. So that is kind of the process behind my journey, and that's what my script says to say. So now mom's going to
What
read
does my
her
script
script.
say?
Yours says, yeah, I don't have an official
I
diagnosis.
do not have an official diagnosis.
But when Deborah started learning about autism, so many of the traits just clicked. Is that true?
That is true for extreme shyness, fear of talking.
I've done
The
this
social
before.
cues, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. And then, so we're wanting to make some videos about autism because we are both late diagnosed. I was 46 when I was diagnosed, and a month later I turned 47. Mom is 68 now, and it was when she was 67 last year that she got her diagnosis. So we were both
My
very,
unofficial diagnosis.
right, but
Yeah.
we know. And I should probably also mention that I am a licensed professional counselor supervisor. And I am going back to school to get my PhD in psychology, which was kind of inspired by getting my diagnosis because I have autism, but it wasn't diagnosed until I was in my late 40s. And the psychologist told me that I am very high masking. She gave me a test called the camouflaging autistic traits test, I think, and she said you are very, very high, and she said nobody will ever believe you that you have autism. And that is probably why it took me so long to get a diagnosis, and therefore I want to learn more about that and help other people. It's probably why mother was never diagnosed. In addition, when she was born, they just didn't diagnose girls.
Right. I was considered a dreamer. In school, I would just look out the window and live in my own world.
Well, and since you bring it up, so it says we're going to tell you about some of our traits. So, Mom, do you want to tell them about your sensory issues? Do you have sensory issues?
Such as my extreme sensitivity to light
Yeah.
and noise and smell.
The smell I knew about. I didn't know about the noise.
The noise, loud noises have always bothered me. I always have my TV turned down lower than most people want it.
I always have mine turned up really high.
I know.
Because I want to be able to hear it and hear everything that's happening. But I will say, everybody always tells me I talk really loud.
Yeah.
And do you talk loud?
No, I talk too quiet,
I talk too loud.
which is why I was never successful in my student teaching. When I was doing my student teaching, they said I didn't project far enough.
Well, when I was at work, I had this lady say, yeah, I was going to come and ask you for help, but then I told everybody, no, don't tell Deborah because she'll talk really loud and then everybody will look at me and it'll embarrass me. And until that moment, I had no idea I talked loud. No clue. I don't have as many sensory issues as Mom, but loud noises will make me angry, but not all loud noises. So like high-pitched squealing from like children, annoying. But I think everybody finds that annoying. So I'm not sure. But then, like, we were just walking and there was a truck that was going across the brick streets and it was rattling and it was too loud. That is annoying. So I have that. I really like to rub textures and stuff, so I'm always touching things and stuff like that. But I don't have as many as Mom does. Childhood experiences of being labeled shy or overly sensitive. That's
Oh,
Mom.
yeah, that was me, considered extremely shy, even around family. And I used to want to go spend the night with my great-grandmother or my cousin, and I would, but then as soon as it was time for bed, I'd cry to go home.
Really?
Because I was in an unfamiliar place, and I just wanted to be in my own bed.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that in a
My
minute.
aunt cured me of that.
What do you mean?
She took me home one time, and nobody was there on purpose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, you got to stay with us. Nobody's home.
Was that Dee Dee?
Yeah.
That was pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always labeled very shy as well. And I do get social anxiety. Mom and I both do. I've gotten a lot better at it because I've used cognitive behavioral therapies to kind of train me with it. But even when I got better at it, I still had some social difficulties in that I just genuinely don't always know what to say. People say things and I'm just like, as a therapist, I don't do that, by the way. But in social conversations, it happens all the time. As a therapist, I don't have that problem. But I feel like as a therapist, it's because I know what to say because I can fall back on therapy tools and I can ask the person to explain more. But in social conversations, it would be weird if I go, can you tell me more about this? Can you explain what you mean? Or if I used other cognitive therapy tools. So socially, I don't always know what I'm expected to say or respond. And honestly, I've never really had a whole lot of interest in socializing. I don't really have any friends right now, and I'm okay with that.
And that has changed for me in the last couple years. I've developed a circle of friends, and I go up and talk to strangers, which I would never do before.
It is weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird. She's even gotten to where you can look people in the eye and talk
Not
to them.
Not very well, but I'm working on that one still.
You still have a problem with eye contact?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever had a problem with eye contact, but I was thinking about it the other day. If I'm like in Walmart and I see somebody I know, this has happened as long as I can remember. I don't know if I'm supposed to look at them or not.
Like, I think we're supposed to look at them,
but then if I look at them, I have to stop and talk to them. But then what do I say? I'm here in Walmart to buy groceries. That's not interesting. How do you make a conversation out of that? And then if I just say, hi, how are you doing? Fine. Well, that doesn't feel like a conversation. And then am I being rude? I don't know. Or another example is when I was teaching at the university here, there's like this big long hallway between where the classes are and the professor's offices are. And I would walk down the hallway, and if someone I knew, another teacher, was walking the other direction, well, then every time it was so awkward for me because I was like I'd look at them, but then look away, but then, like, how do you do it if they're coming the other direction? You're not supposed to stop and talk, are you? Those are some of the social issues I have, and some of the issues I have with eye contact. If I know the meaning and what you're supposed to do in a social situation, no problem. But otherwise, it's difficult.
It is difficult still.
Yeah. It also mentions on our little script, maybe one of these days we'll figure out how to do this without having to look at our notes, but today's not that day. Coping through masking or withdrawal. Do you know what it means to mask?
I do.
Do you mask?
I do know what it means. I don't know whether I do or not. I'm sure I do. I'm not sure of an example.
Well, have you had the experience now of telling people you're autistic and having them not believe you?
Yes.
Have they said you don't look very autistic?
No.
Oh, I get that a lot. That's
they
very
ask
insulting.
me, what makes you think you're autistic?
Like you're crazy?
No, not really. Just like, why do you think that? And then I have a hard time explaining myself to them.
Oh. I know I mask, and I've always known that, even before I knew that word or knew autism was a thing, because I've always known, well, if you don't know how to act, copy somebody. And so I know how to copy how people move their hands, their eyes. That's my timer telling us to stop, but we're just going to keep going. And so I've always known that I do that, but I've done it consciously on purpose because I figured that's how you're supposed to do things. But now I realize that, can you make it so I can see the script? That's probably not what the normal people do. Maybe she can pull up the script.
It needs to see my face.
Oh, okay. And then social challenges that I haven't, well, I guess I have explained some social challenges that I've had. We're not going to go in depth on this stuff. That's other videos. This is just reflection. Oh, we're almost done, so we're doing good on our time. So what has it been like for you to realize you have autism?
Well, it explained a lot, but, I can't say that it made everything easier knowing so, but...
Did it make you feel bad about yourself?
No, not really. At first, because you think when you first mentioned autism, the first thing that came to mind is like Rain Man or something,
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm not like that. And then, but then there are different levels, on the spectrum. And obviously we're up at a different level.
Yeah. So actually I can relate because when I first learned about autism, as a teacher and then as a counselor, I thought of Rain Man too. And so, like, I'm not Rain Man. It never would have occurred to me that if somebody had said you're autistic, I would have been like, no, I'm not. But then about 8 years ago, maybe, I can't remember why, but I remember driving to work and I remember for some reason I was thinking that I was autistic, and I must have read something or heard something on a video or a podcast, and I remember thinking about it, and it was trippy because suddenly I was like, oh my God, all of that adds up to autism. And it did make me feel bad about myself. It made me feel really bad because then I thought, well, I'm different and I can never fix myself.
Yeah, and that did occur to me a little bit, why couldn't I have been normal?
Yes.
Most people.
And I have had that thought for as long as I can remember, always thinking.
But on the other hand, I've never felt normal because I've always been so extremely shy and withdrawn.
Well, and I'm just not able to
so introverted.
Get jokes that people tell or care about the same things that people are interested in, and I don't like socializing, and I have a lot of repetitive behaviors. I chew my tongue, which I got teased about in school, and I shake my leg, which I also got teased about in school, and I flip and twirl my hair, and I've also gotten teased about that, and I rock back and forth side to side, which I've also gotten teased about, so I've learned to hide those things. So when, I was first thinking I was autistic, it made me feel bad because I thought, oh, that's what all that stuff adds up to. But then a few years ago, because of my job, I had to learn more about autism. And the more I learned about it, the more I started going, oh my God, that sounds a lot like me. And so finally last year I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go and get assessed because that's the only way to be, certain. And then if I have it, that means Mom has it for sure. And so now I feel I'm kind of proud of it, to tell you the truth. I guess because it explains me.
I haven't got to that point.
When I found
I
out,
would like to be, but I do notice that as I'm able to talk to people, I kind of feel good about myself. Like I never could do that before, and people actually like me, and that's unusual.
And this is one reason why we're making the video, because when Mom was born, autism was diagnosed for people with, I think, developmental disabilities, intellectual delays, or they had to be geniuses. They were all male, and she just wouldn't have gotten diagnosed. And yet, if she had gotten diagnosed, she probably could have gotten some social skills and support in school that could have given her some coping strategies so that you could have made different choices.
Or used my education.
Yeah.
Which I never used.
So anyways, that's it for this video. It's longer than I anticipated, but that's okay. I don't care. Have a good day. Anything else you want to say?
Nope.
All right.